Where are you watching tonight's game from, Goody? Have you got thrown your support behind GWS?
We'll just be down the Gold Coast preparing for our game. Clearly there's a few results that, are obviously of interest to us, but that's stuff that we can't control. We can only really look at how we're going to perform, tomorrow against the Bombers, and that's the number one thing. And that's the number one thing that we've been focusing on for a little while, what we can control. And clearly there's, some of our destiny's out of our hands, but a lot of it's within our hands as well.
There's a few guys that you potentially could look at coming back in. Hibberd, Harms, Jackson, Sparrow. Can you give us a bit of an understanding of where they're at and whether you would make that many changes from last week?
Yeah, look, we certainly won't be making that many changes, but it's great to have some guys back available. Obviously, Jacko's coming off 5 weeks with a tendon injury. Harmsy a couple of weeks with a hamstring. Tom Sparrow played last week in the VFL and played very well, so he puts his hand up for selection. And Michael Hibberd has a week away from an ankle, so he's also available. So yeah, it's tight for spots. The boys performed really strongly last week in a pretty important game for the club. So we'll probably be more tempted to run with the group that we ran with last week and make minimal changes possible.
Are you going to have any forced changes, Simon? Any injuries or niggles or anything you picked up?
No, everything's been good. It's been pleasing. I've had 7 days to prepare for a game, which is the first time for a little while. So, clean bill of health, and the guys are fully recovered and ready to go.
What has been the message this week, Goody? Because you talked about previously, it's great to be back in this position, and now you are again. You win this week, things go your way, you could be playing finals again. What has been the message of the group about how to approach this week?
It's been really simple for a little while. The only things that we can control is how we execute our role and how we look at the moments within games. And there's going to be lots of opportunity in the game that we play tomorrow, and a chance to own moments within games and own our role and execute it to a really high level. And we're really trying to work hard as a footy club to produce the same Melbourne team week after week, no matter what type of game we're playing in, whether it's round 18. And looking for a spot in the finals, whether it's round 2 or whether it's a final. So we're looking to play the same way week after week, and it's real simple stuff.
And how are you going to look back at this year if things don't go your way this weekend? You've obviously made progress from where you were last year, but if you were to miss finals again, would it be a disappointment, or do you look at it as you've taken a step forward from where you were?
We're not even considering that at this stage. We're just focused on, what we can control, and that's tomorrow. We'll reflect on what the season's produced at the appropriate time. But today's not that time. Today's to really focus on the game tomorrow and look at the opportunity that's presented right in front of us.
What do you have to get right against the Bombers, Simon? We know that things obviously haven't gone to plan for them, but they can be pretty dangerous when they get things right.
Yeah, look, there's no question we need to defend to a really high level. Clearly there's a pattern with the Bombers when they play well. They get the corridor, they attack it very strongly, they move the ball quite quickly. So, we have to defend to a really high level, which is something that we've been working on. And obviously, we have to put our strengths on show as well. How we operate around the footy and how we bring great balance to our contest work, something that we've worked really hard on.
Nathan Jones has come out and said he'd like to play on next year. Are you able to give any insight into what you're thinking in that regard?
Look, we'll sit down with Nathan and have the appropriate conversations at the right time. Clearly he's been an unbelievable person for the Melbourne Footy Club and someone that we really value highly. So we'll sit down at that time. At the moment, Nathan's purely focused on getting himself right to continue on in the season, and that's all our focus is with Nathan as well. So, as I said, that time will come where we'll sit down and have that chat. It'll be two parties sitting down and discussing what's best for not only Nathan but the Melbourne Footy Club.
Goody, just back on team selection. Can we read into Hibberd training with the main group today as an indication that he's going to be in the team tomorrow?
Yeah, the spies down at training. We had Jackson, Sparrow, and Hibbo and Mitch Hannon all training with the main team. So you can assume that the selection will come from that group there.
Thanks, Goody.
Thank you.
Can you build on from that winner?
Sorry, we're still going? Yep.
I'm just going to say, what can you build on from that win over Simon? You said you want to be a team that delivers week in, week out. What did you like? What do you have to bring in this week?
Oh, there was a consistency at how we played across the 4 quarters. You know, it was on the back of some really good method around the footy. I thought we defended strongly for periods, but we're able to also play with an excitement about, you know, offensive side of our game. So I think there was a lot to like last week. It was a game that was a must-win for the footy club, and you saw the players really step up and own their moments and own their roles and deliver. And you know, that's what we need to do week after week as a footy club. And you know, that's to be a really top class team and a top class club. That's what we need.